What's up, Neutron Tech crew? Today we're hanging out with the legendary Master Xiao Wu while he works his magic on a couple of beat-up rides that honestly look like they've been through a demolition derby. So first up, we've got this Nissan Bluebird rolling in, one of those workhorses that's been around forever because they just keep running no matter what you throw at them. The bumper? Completely mangled beyond any reasonable hope of repair. You know how bumpers are supposed to crumple in a controlled way during impact, absorbing energy to protect the passengers? Yeah, this one went way beyond that engineering marvel. We're talking pretzel-level twisting here, with metal folded back on itself in ways that definitely weren't in the original design specs. The impact was so severe that the bumper's energy absorption zones are completely compromised, meaning it would offer zero protection in another accident. It's basically become a piece of abstract sculpture that happens to be attached to a car. Those mounting brackets that keep everything attached and properly aligned, toast. Completely shot and bent beyond any hope of straightening. They'll need some serious reinforcement if this bumper's ever gonna do its job again. And honestly, replacement is probably the only viable option here. The headlights are smashed up pretty bad too, with plastic fragments scattered around the engine bay like automotive confetti, and that grille is basically abstract art at this point. A twisted maze of chrome and plastic that bears no resemblance to its original functional design. But here's where things get really interesting, and by interesting, I mean seriously messed up in ways that make insurance adjusters nervous. They've got this Bluebird strapped into a frame straightening jig, which tells you right away that we're dealing with some major structural damage that goes way beyond cosmetic issues. The whole unibody that's the car's skeleton basically got twisted like a piece of licorice in the hands of an overly enthusiastic kid. The techs break out their fancy measuring gear, precision instruments that cost more than most people's cars, and start comparing everything to the factory specs, basically checking how far off everything is from where it should be according to the original engineering blueprints. Then comes the heavy artillery, hydraulic pullers and chains that look like they could move mountains. These bad boys can yank metal back into shape with incredible force measured in tons, but you've got to know what you're doing or you'll just create new problems while trying to fix the old ones. The key is applying force gradually and in exactly the right direction. It's like watching someone uncrumple a piece of paper, except with thousands of pounds of force and way higher stakes. One wrong move could turn a repairable car into an expensive pile of scrap metal. Those A-pillars and the firewall. Yeah, those are super critical parts that form the very backbone of the vehicle's safety cage. The A-pillars basically hold up your windshield and keep the roof from caving in during a rollover, while also providing crucial support for the entire front structure. Meanwhile, the firewall is literally the barrier between you and a hot engine, plus it serves as a major structural component that ties the front and rear sections together. Watching Xiao Wu work, you realize this isn't just banging out dents with a hammer like some backyard mechanic. The guy has this deep understanding of how cars are built, all the intricate ways different parts work together, how modern safety systems integrate with the structure, the material science behind different alloys, the whole 9 yards and then some. What really sets pros apart is knowing exactly what went wrong and having a comprehensive game plan to fix it properly the first time. These techs don't just eyeball it and hope for the best, they're using laser alignment systems and digital measuring tools that can detect variations down to fractions of a millimeter to map out every bit of damage. After getting the bones of the car straightened out with mechanical precision, Xiao Wu starts bolting on fresh parts with the same attention to detail. But wait, there's more. And this is where things get really technical and the true craftsmanship begins to shine through. Now we're talking welding, and this is where the real artistry comes in. separating true masters from weekend warriors. You can't just stick two pieces of metal together with some sparks and call it a day like you might with a backyard project. These guys need to understand how different metals behave when heated to extreme temperatures. Think about it. When you're reattaching a piece of the chassis that got bent or replacing a structural component, you've got to control that heat perfectly with the precision of a master chef. Too much heat in the wrong spot and you'll warp the metal even more, creating new problems that cascade throughout the structure. Too little heat and your weld won't penetrate properly, creating a weak point that could fail under stress. These techs are basically surgeons with welding torches, understanding not just the immediate task, but how their work affects the entire vehicle's integrity. After all that precision metalwork comes the sealing phase, which might sound boring to the untrained eye, but is actually super important for long-term durability and performance. They're using caulking guns to lay down seam sealer everywhere. Metal meets metal, creating weatherproof barriers that will last for decades. Next up is rust protection, because nobody wants their freshly repaired car turning into a rust bucket in 6 months due to inadequate protection. After all that filler and adhesive sets up properly and cures to full strength, they spray protective coating on everything, inside surfaces, outside surfaces, hidden cavities, anywhere bare metal might be exposed to the elements. Water is metal's worst enemy. When it comes to replacement parts, these guys don't mess around with cheap knockoffs or questionable aftermarket alternatives that might look similar but perform differently. They're sourcing OEM, that's original equipment manufacturer parts that match exactly what came on the car originally, with the same metallurgy, the same mounting points, and the same engineering tolerances. Time to wrap things up with the finishing touches. Bumper gets its final adjustments with precision measuring tools, front lights go in with careful attention to beam patterns and electrical connections, windshield gets installed with proper adhesive that becomes part of the structural system, and suddenly this demolished Nissan is looking factory fresh again. But wait, we're not done yet. Another Bluebird rolls in, and this one took it hard in the rear in what must have been a spectacular collision. The trunk looks like someone tried to fold it origami style with the determination of a frustrated artist. And that driver's side rear quarter panel is pushed in so far it's practically touching the back seat, creating a cave-like depression that speaks to the tremendous forces involved. The impact was clearly severe enough to compress the entire rear structure. Just like before, step one is getting this twisted piece of automotive sculpture on the frame jig and breaking out the measuring tools to assess the full scope of the damage. Modern cars are built with unibody construction, which means a hard hit to the back can throw the whole chassis out of whack in subtle ways that aren't immediately visible, affecting everything from door alignment to suspension geometry. After the frame's back in line and measuring within factory tolerances, they tackle the body panels with the same systematic approach. The trunk floor is ripped up like someone took a can opener to it, the quarter panels crushed inward creating a complex maze of wrinkled metal, and the whole taillight area looks like modern art created by someone with anger management issues. Before any repairs happen, though, there's prep work, lots of it, and none of it glamorous, but all of it essential. They're clearing out debris, old sealant that's lost its adhesion, rust that's already started forming, twisted metal fragments, anything that might interfere with the repair or compromise the final result. For the really mangled sections, they carefully cut away all the damaged metal with surgical precision, following predetermined cut lines that preserve as much original structure as possible. Now comes the reconstruction phase, where true artistry meets engineering precision. Salvageable panels get the full treatment, straightening with specialized tools, reinforcing with additional support structures, making them stronger than before while maintaining their original appearance. The welding here requires the same surgical precision as before, if not more, due to the complex curves and multiple intersection points. They're carefully controlling heat input to prevent warping, laying down perfect beads that penetrate fully without creating excess material, making sure every joint is bulletproof under the stresses of normal operation. Installing the trunk lid is like solving a three-dimensional puzzle where every piece has to fit perfectly and function smoothly. They're checking gaps on all sides with precision measuring tools, making sure it sits flush with the body within factory tolerances of just a few millimeters. Even a tiny misalignment means water getting in during car washes or storms, or wind noise at highway speeds that will drive the owner crazy. Sometimes fixing the trunk means tweaking the surrounding panels too. The taillights go in next, and positioning is everything for both aesthetics and safety. It's not just about making them look straight to the casual observer. The angles have to be perfect so the light beams hit where they're supposed to, according to federal safety regulations. Other drivers need to see your brake lights clearly from hundreds of feet away and at various angles, and your reverse lights need to illuminate what's behind you effectively for safe backing maneuvers. Get the positioning wrong and you're a safety hazard, no matter how pretty the repair looks or how much money was spent on the restoration. The electrical connections also need to be weatherproofed and secured properly to prevent future problems with moisture intrusion or vibration-induced failures. Final step for this rear-end rebuild is the bumper installation, which involves the same attention to detail we saw earlier. Same deal as before, precise welding with full penetration, consistent beads that meet aerospace standards, perfect fusion into the existing metal structure. After welding comes inspection, and I mean thorough inspection that would make a NASA engineer proud. They're checking visually for any imperfections, maybe using some specialized testing equipment like dye penetrant or ultrasonic testing to make sure there are no hidden flaws or stress concentrations that could lead to future failures. Any rough edges or excess weld material gets ground smooth with progressive grits, creating that perfect surface for primer and paint that will look indistinguishable from factory work. Protection is absolutely key for these fresh welds and exposed metal surfaces. High-quality primer goes on first in multiple thin coats, then the top coat with careful attention to color matching and texture, sealing everything up tight against the elements for decades of protection. The paint job has to blend perfectly with the rest of the car using sophisticated color matching technology. No one should be able to tell where the repair ends and the original paint begins, even under close inspection in bright sunlight. This attention to detail isn't just about aesthetics and resale value, it's about preserving the car's structural integrity and ensuring it'll last for years to come without showing signs of the trauma it endured. Every step in the painting process, from surface preparation to final clear coat, contributes to the longevity of the repair. What Xiao Wu accomplishes here is way more than just making cars pretty again. For satisfied customers, that flawless finish he achieves through careful sanding, multiple primer coats, precise color matching, and protective clear coating creates a sophisticated shield against weather, road salt, UV radiation, and time itself. Every detail he perfects adds to the car's longevity and performance, keeping it valuable and reliable for the long haul while maintaining the safety standards the original manufacturers intended. This is craftsmanship that goes beyond the surface. It's about bringing these machines back to life and keeping them on the road where they belong, serving their owners faithfully faithfully for many more years of safe, reliable transportation.